notice things that are suspicious.
Welcome to the Media Circus, the news game show that combines the ridiculous antics of a news show with the intellectual rigour of a game show. And joining the Media Circus this week, please welcome carryover champion Andrew Hansen. From the checkout, Zoe Norton Lodge. And...
I'm George Negus.
Yep, that guy. And you're up against some guy we found in the office, Julian Morrow. Star of every other panel show in the country, Tom Gleeson. And I'll let Alan Jones do this intro.
Jacqueline Maley from the Sydney Morning Herald. Where is she? Oh, she's gone. Disappeared. Where is she?
She's right here. She's right here, Alan. Please welcome everyone. Now, you are playing in two teams tonight. On the orange couch, of course, is Team Australia. And we asked Bill Shorten to come up with the blue team's name.
The government's used the term Team Australia a lot. I'm worried about the emergence of Team Idiot.
Team Idiot it is! Looking down on the Media Circus, as always, is Australia's least reliable fact-checker, Chaz Licciardello.
Hey. That's great, but I've actually been fact-checking last week's show and literally everything you said was wrong. Starting with scene
Chaz,
one...
yes, that's right. Let's ignore Chaz and play the news game.
Round one.
And the story of the week has been the sad passing of former Prime Minister Gough Whitlam. It's been so sad that here at the ABC, we've been flying the hammer and sickle at half-mast. And the tributes have been flowing in the media and in Parliament.
I move that the House records its deep regret and places on record its appreciation of his long and highly distinguished service to the nation.
Those are lovely words from the Prime Minister, although, to be fair, they are a change to the policy that he took to the last election.
Some say that this government is the worst since Whitlam, but that is very unfair to Whitlam, who was utterly incompetent.
Another backflip! While it was a big story for us, it wasn't for everyone. I mean, we know this because news websites list their most viewed stories as a kind of shamefully accurate record of our interests. For instance, yesterday morning when Gough Whitlam was at the top story on the Australian's website, the Sydney Morning Herald website and the ABC, it wasn't the most read story on news.com.au. So what was beating it? Tom, come on down as we play...
What makes us click?
All right, I'm going to give you 5 of the most clicked stories from news.com.au from the day Gough Whitlam died, and you have to guess which ones were more read than Gough's death, OK? Here they are. Puppy-sized spider found in forest. Blake, you make me look stupid. Australian pancakes go viral. And the kiss America can't stop talking about. OK, now, news.com.au had the headline also, Gough Whitlam dead at 98.
Yes.
Now, which of those other stories ranked above the death of Gough?
Well, you're kind of implying that it's a bit outrageous because obviously he was the leader of the nation and an important story, but him dying at 98 is barely surprising. But I'm going to guess, I know that that big spider, I just kept seeing it in all different places, whether I wanted to or not, so I'm guessing it was the most clicked.
So you're going to put Puppy is above Gough? OK,
yeah, Puppy's above Gough.
Spider.
Yeah. Blake's something to do with The Bachelor. I only know that because I used to work on Channel 10 and they talked about it a lot. And I hate Blake because he's still on air there and I'm not. Australian pancake recipe. Australians like shows about food, apparently. Some Americans kissed and they can't stop talking, but Americans, they do talk a lot. So, again, it's not really news. I'm going to put Gough at just below Blake.
So, basically, only the puppy-sized spider and Blake, you made me look stupid, would be ahead of Gough Whitlam.
Then Gough,
OK.
and then, yes.
Well, the answer was all of them were above Gough Whitlam. Poor old Gough was actually only number 8 on the most clicked at this point here.
Oh dear.
Although you were right that the top one was puppy-sized spider found in forest.
Maybe the headline let it down. Like if it said puppy-sized Gough died at 98 after eating a spider, you'd be onto it. So it's their fault for presuming anyone knew who Gough Whitlam was.
Fact check, Craig.
Fact check?
Fact check. I'm sorry, you've misled people. Goff was only at number 8 for a very short period of time.
So he then went up?
Actually, no. Then he went down to number 9, and the Big Brother Love Rat was at number 8.
Yes, well done, Tom. You got that wrong. Sit down. You got 2. Now, George, of course, to us, the younger generation, you know, Goff is just something less important than a puppy-sized spider. But you were actually there with Goff on the steps of Parliament when he was dismissed. Is that right?
About a metre away. I couldn't get any closer because, RIP, you never got between Richard Carlton and a politician.
Yeah.
Must have been amazing to be at the centre of history. Did you kind of get the sense that, you know, that things could get really ugly?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I think that had Goff not accepted his dismissal the way he did so graciously, I'm pretty sure there would have been violence in the streets. You put it this way. On November the 10th, 1975, Australians went to bed with a Prime Minister and a government that they'd elected. On November the 12th, they didn't. They woke up with a government that they hadn't elected.
Yeah, hang on. We lived through Gillard and Rudd. Don't worry about it.
That's a But the point being, in any other country in the world, that would be regarded as a coup. Albeit a bloodless coup, but I think Goff probably prevented a coup in this country.
I remember from that footage of 75, though, that it was all, you know, very dramatic, and then right at the end, Norman Gunston came on and tried to ask these comedy questions. Why is there always some fucking idiot in this country who turns up at serious political events and tries to disrupt the proper business of government with that sort of idiocy?
Craig, this might be a bit out of order, but we're talking about Goff's speeches and the amazing things he said. I was hoping I could pay tribute to him by playing one of the speeches that most inspired me when I was a child.
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Cari amici australiani, cucinare non dovrebbe essere faticoso in cucina. Non con queste salse rivoluzionali della Lagos.
Thank you, Craig. Thanks for the opportunity, Craig. Thank you.
Actually,
and we all remember that day. Like, I mean, you went to bed with one pasta sauce and then you woke up the next day with a completely different pasta sauce.
This week also saw the historic inauguration of Indonesia's new president, Joko Widodo, who it turns out is...
a former furniture exporter.
A former furniture exporter.
A former furniture maker.
Which means he should have no problem putting together his new cabinet.
Too soon.
I'm sorry.
Too soon, Craig.
Sorry. Is it worth risking our relationship with Indonesia for that bad joke? Anyway, look, Tony Abbott was actually at Joko's inauguration.
Our Prime Minister in prime position.
Now, here's a question for both teams. What question was asked to get him to stand up?
Someone asked him if he wanted to do the ice bucket challenge. And our Prime Minister loves nothing more than getting into manly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Was it, we have an illegally parked bicycle outside. Licence plate TA01.
Was it the new president of Indonesia saying, "Oh, I've lost my wife's mobile number. Does anyone have it?"
Was it...
You know they don't get invited to those inaugurations, they turn up. And isn't it amazing that they just turn up?
Yeah, I think that was the question. Is anybody here not invited, Tony?
I know, it's quite ironic because he was an uninvited arrival.
There we go.
The exciting answer to that question I asked was they just said his name.
Right.
Isn't it, mate? They just said Tony Abbott and he stood up. That's what he does.
Fair enough, though, because the rest would have been in Indonesian, which I'm guessing Tony Abbott doesn't understand.
Oh, yeah.
So he would have been hearing blah, 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 Tony Abbott. Well, hey!
Yeah. And what they've actually said is that, unfortunately, ruining the whole day is Tony Abbott. Well, look, Indonesia is one of Australia's most important relationships, so you can understand why Joko Widodo's inauguration received so much media coverage, like this story on Channel 10 News.
The Prime Minister called for the backflip but missed the furore. He's in Indonesia for the inauguration of the new president, Joko Widodo.
Indonesia's new president, Joko Widodo.
So close, Trusty, so close. Sure, that Channel 10 report lasted only 15 seconds, but that's because they had to leave time for a 90-second report on the Bachelor's upcoming interview on the project. It seems not all news stories are created equal, so it's time to play...
That's all we have time for.
All we have time for is the game where you match up the news stories with the amount of time that was spent on each of them. Now, George, you're playing for Team Australia. Come on up.
Good luck, George.
Right, I'm going to show you 4 stories from the National Bulletin on Channel 9.
Right.
This is 9 News Now.
Julie Bishop to meet Putin at summit. Sydney superstorm. Coronial inquest into murders of diggers in Afghanistan. And a woman has a baby 4 days after the last time she went to the gym.
Good stories, good news there. So now you have to match those stories with these durations here.
Bishop and Putin, I think that's probably apt at 23.
23 for Bishop and Putin. Let's lock that in.
Sydney Superstorm, I'd reckon 33, yes. I'd give...
Sydney Superstorm was 33 seconds, you mean?
33, you can lock that in, yeah. I was going to say 2 minutes and 2 minutes of do for the soldier inquest.
You want to put 2 minutes and 1 for the soldier inquest?
I think so, yes.
Yes, okay, 2 minutes and 1 for the soldier inquest. And 6 minutes 51 for the woman has a baby after doing exercise.
Is that how long it actually took her to have a baby because she was so fit?
Yeah. That's a new way to push it out.
Craig, don't ever do that again.
So, let's see how you went, George. And, OK, the shortest story was the inquest into the death of 3 Aussie soldiers in Afghanistan. So, sadly, you got that one wrong. Right. Then we had the possibility of Bishop meeting Putin, which went for 33 seconds. A third of which was dedicated to Putin stroking this octopus. Look at that. He's training to take on Tony Abbott. OK, thirdly, a full 2 minutes was needed to ruminate on the fact that...
the mum-to-be was doing intense CrossFit workouts just days before her baby was born.
Which, of course, means that the almost 7 minutes, there's crazy storms in Sydney.
Indeed.
So let's see how you went overall there. George, you got them all wrong. See? Have a seat, George. Look, but if you think 7 minutes is long, actually, the main Channel 9 news bulletin in Sydney actually did these storms for 18 minutes, the first 18 minutes of their broadcast.
18 minutes?
Yes, huge.
That's longer than the storms, isn't it?
You know, Craig, the length of that story wasn't even the interesting bit. Sure, 18 minutes, but have a look at their graphics.
So, how did this happen? Well, the superstorm was actually an East Coast low pressure system, made really intense by the fact it formed so close to land. It hit the south coast, then made its way north, picking up strength. The system was rotating clockwise.
Oh my God!
The kind of thing you see.
Snake! It's going to get him!
With it came torrential rain, toxic wind gusts, severe thunderstorms and rough surf. Not seen in the region in around a decade. And the snow? That was due to the moist storm front interacting with cold air further inland.
That's almost like he's broadcasting from your imagination.
I now understand why young Sydney-siders are leaving Australia to fight in Syria and Raqqa, because the weather here is just terrifying. Like, it's impossible.
Is Overton all right after that? I mean, after that, he'd be in one of those foil blankets, wouldn't he?
No, he'd be in a computer-generated one, like a graphic of a foil blanket. Oh. Then he'd go to a graphic of a hospital.
Graphic ambulance.
In a graphic ambulance.
They certainly didn't clear anything up, did they, those graphics? Like, I watch those graphics, I know less about that storm than I did before. I do feel like I've seen Frozen now, though.
And that's all we have time for all we have time for. And at the end of that round, the winners are Team Idiot. Congratulations, you get this snow dome of Peter Overton to relive the terrifying conditions in the 9 newsroom. Well done.
Hello, Peter.
He's so handsome. So handsome.
News School. Lesson 46. If someone interrupts your live cross, forge on as if nothing has happened. Channel 7, why don't you try this beginner-level interruption?
Morning, Nat. Well, police have said it was on Saturday when a 28...
Well done. Now, ABC, here's an advanced-level interruption for you.
He's with us now from Alexandria, where Swans fans have gathered. David, how are they coping?
Well, there are 1,000 people here at the Alexandria Hotel.
Excellent. No one would ever have noticed that interruption. Class dismissed.
Also this week we saw Parliament back down over the plan to put people wearing burqas in a glass box. Speaker Bronwyn Bishop was so embarrassed by the back down on head covering that she now gets around Parliament like this. Ban reversed, Parliament once again faces the threat of covered-up people from a culture hostile to the government. And there is an especially good reason to be afraid of women in facial coverings. Many of them are undercover Daily Telegraph reporters. They've done this story 3 times at least. Jackie, you're a journalist. Have you ever been asked to go in a burqa and go undercover, or go undercover at all?
I've never had to adopt any kind of covering. Au contraire, in fact. The strangest stories that I've done where I've supposedly been undercover, the first one was following one of the first, I think it was the Canterbury Bulldogs sort of rape scandal, or alleged rape scandal, as we now call it. Myself and another female reporter were sent to Wagga Wagga for the weekend to just be literally chick bait and sit in a pub.
Than the burqa story.
Just sort of sit in the pub and observe footballers in
their natural habitat.
Yeah, which is actually, you know, more terrifying than watching lions at the zoo.
And of course, George, you've been undercover your entire career behind that moustache, you know.
Craig, talking about going undercover, I don't know if you saw the captions on ABC News this week, but Warren Truss has found himself a very convincing disguise.
Some Liberals reckon it's political correctness gone mad.
See, this is why we need a burqa ban in Parliament.
Wasn't part of the rumour that it wasn't necessarily women who were going to be behind them?
Yeah, that it was going to be men, so you wouldn't be able to identify
that's a new
them.
terrorist trick.
Yeah.
Blokes dressed up as women.
No, that's the footy show.
It's the footy show, yeah. Which should be banned on national security grounds.
Craig, Craig, I don't even know why we're talking about the burqa for. I mean, everyone's moved on. Even Jackie Lambie's moved on. Now she's trying to ban something else entirely.
I want the burqa banned, and I'm not backing down on that.
She wants to ban dogs.
She really hates dogs.
She hates, yeah. Look, burqas aren't the only things banned in Parliament. Team Idiot, this one's for you. Jackie, come up and play...
Parliamentary House Rules.
While it's tempting to think of Speaker Bishop's burqa ban as uniquely ridiculous, many parliaments around the world have imposed weird bans too. So, Jackie, see if you can match the list of items that have been banned with the place in which they're banned. The bans include wearing a suit of armour into Parliament, advertising a sports team in the chamber, turtlenecks are inappropriate for male members, and a ban on distributing apples to other MPs in the chamber.
Wow, OK.
Now, which silly little countries do these apply to? Let's just go through them. We've got Canada, United Kingdom, New Zealand and Australia.
Wow.
So you have to match them up. Who do you think bans a suit of armour?
Well, I feel like this is the most ye-olde country that we have.
Oh, yeah, good thinking. I like that.
Suit of armour is going to be Britain. All right.
New Zealand and Canada are both cold climates where neck coverage is sort of essential and it would come up more, perhaps. So I'm going to say Canada.
Canada, OK. Let's put Canada, ban the turtleneck. Well done.
Obviously, this is a completely obscure...
Sporting jersey.
Random. A sporting jersey, that's got to be New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand, OK. Put it in there.
Don't you reckon?
Yep.
Which means, now, are you happy with this? This means that the Australian Parliament has banned people distributing apples.
We don't stand for that kind of thing.
Let's reveal the correct answers. Let's see. It is illegal to wear a suit of armour into Parliament in the UK, thanks to a statute still in place from the year 1313. This law is so old that it starts, "The King sendeth greetings."
That was nice of him to send greetings before he laid down the law.
Rugby jerseys are not allowed in Parliament in New Zealand after a politician showed up wearing an Otago Highlanders jersey in 2011. If you wear a Wallabies jersey in New Zealand Parliament, you get killed. Turtlenecks are inappropriate attire for men in Canadian Parliament and everywhere else on Earth. The order also bans men wearing ascots, which is designed to stop Matt Preston from ever ruling Canada. Which means apples are officially banned in Australia, in Australian Parliament. Well done, Jackie, you got 4 right. That ban is because of the great National Apple and Pear Day crisis of 2004, when a Tasmanian Labor MP tried to bring apples into the House of Reps and incurred the Speaker's wrath.
In defiance of what I specifically instructed, he chose to bring an apple into the chamber.
Now we know why the burqa is banned. Think of how many apples could be hidden under there. Now, Woolworths recently withdrew a singlet from sale after a customer's complaint on Twitter. They claimed it was stocked by accident, although they are still stocking their special KKK breakfast cereal. The controversy led to some anger in the media, and no one was angrier than Ray Hadley. Now, Team Australia, who was Ray Hadley talking about when he said this on his radio show?
You are a dog, a low dog, of the lowest order.
Mike Carlton.
Mike Carlton? That is correct. Well done, Mike Carlton.
I would never have guessed that, Joe. I would have assumed just that because Ray's a nice guy, he was just talking to his own dog, who's just like a little sausage dog who's very low to the ground. You're a low dog. You're a low dog.
But he's so aggressive with his language, I thought he could have just been throwing to traffic.
The traffic reporter. You're a low dog. What have you got to say about the traffic?
Hadley was indeed referring to former Talkback host Mike Carlton, who insulted him on Twitter about his defence of the Woolworths singlet, calling him, amongst other things, a buffhead. It's like a slangy match in a 1970s prison. Which brings us to our next game.
Shock jock or dialogue from prisoner?
The game works like this. I'll read out a quote and you say whether it's from a radio shock jock or dialogue from the cult 1970s TV series Prisoner. The team with the most correct answers wins. OK, first quote is for you, Julian. If anyone's a dog around here, it's you. Shock jock or prisoner?
What? Ray Hadley again? I don't know.
No, that's this.
Well, if anyone's a dog around here, it's you.
OK, next quote's for Zoe. When I put one on your chin, you'd crawl off to the coppers and whinge your head off, you dog. Shock jock or prisoner?
That has to be prisoner, surely.
Let's have a look.
But when I put one on your chin, you'd crawl off to the coppers and whinge your head off, you dog.
The next one's for Tom. I'm over this lying cow. Shock jock or prisoner?
That sounds like Alan Jones.
Let's see.
I'm over this lying cow, Gillard.
Just feel it.
What does that say about you? Are you listening to a lot of Alan Jones?
Oh, yeah, I just listen to his show every day. It's very popular.
All right, next is for Jackie. You stupid bloody bitch of a woman.
What? Can I...
Shock jock. I'm not... Shock jock. Yeah, that sounded really bad.
I might take offence at that.
Shock jock or prisoner?
Listen, I think it's prisoner because I don't think they can use the B word on radio.
Let's see.
You stupid bloody bitch of a woman.
You can in Adelaide, that's right. Yeah. George, shut up, old lady. Prisoner or a shock jock?
Shock jock.
Let's see.
Shut up, old lady.
That's so good. Zoe, and up your ass too, Sylvia.
Well, I'm going to... well, based on Jackie's logic, I'm going to have to say that's prisoner because there's no Sylvia.
OK, let's see.
And up your ass too, Sylvia.
Bob Francis also abuses his own callers.
Oh, right.
This is the most hilariously depressing game I've ever played.
I should smash your face in, which is the next question for Jackie.
I think that's prisoner.
You think that's prisoner? Let's see.
I should smash your face.
All right, Julian, you haven't got that much titty to be having that low cut of blouse.
We've spoken about this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That was between us.
Shock jock or prisoner?
That has to be prisoner, surely.
Let's see.
You haven't got that much titty to be having that low cut of blouse.
Carl Sandlands. OK, Andrew, just so you know, you're a piece of shit.
Thank you.
Shock jock or prisoner?
Yeah, I think as prisoner was it the 70s. Were you allowed to say shit on television?
Probably not.
Really? Well, it's going to be a shock jock.
Let's see the answer.
Just so you know, you're a piece of shit.
Was that while the show wasn't going on, Kyle looking in the mirror, just sort of...
That is Carl Sanders once again showing that Carl Sanders is way worse than Prisoner. If only he was in prison. Look,
you know what? It's inspired me though, because I'm going to wake up in the morning and just listen to Prisoner. Just to find me up for the day.
So at the end of that round, the most correct answers were for Team Idiot. Congratulations.
Yes.
You win this incredibly thin Gentleman's Guide to Talkback Etiquette. It's one page. There you go.
A public service announcement from Channel 7.
Takes the lead, looks a winner, draws away.
The Olympics are home on 7. But the Olympics are only 2 years away. 2 years? 2 years? 2 years? 2 years? 2 years? 2 years? Why isn't this on the news?
The 2-year countdown begins to the Rio Olympics to be broadcast right here on 7.
Guys, quick, the Olympics are about to start. It doesn't get any more urgent than this.
Fresh from its return as an Olympics broadcaster, the 7 Network is tonight announcing it also has exclusive rights to the 2018 Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast.
Oh my God, only 4 years! 4 years! 4 years! 4 years! 4 years! 4 years!
Now it's time to look at international stories in...
That's Un-Australian!
All right, Tom from Team Idiot, here you
Yes.
go. This story is from Pyongyang. Can you firstly locate it on the map?
Right, I'll
in the crisis.
Definitely, yeah.
Is it there?
Put it on, let's see. Let's see if you're right.
There we go.
Oh! That's right. It's the people from Channel 10 that are working with the communists, not the ABC. Pyongyang, of course, the capital of North Korea. And why has Pyongyang been in the news? Here is your clue for Team Idiot. Of course, that is Jesus fasting in the desert for 40 days.
God, I haven't read my Bible for a while. Is that happening in North Korea?
What do you think the story is?
It's the dear leader of North Korea who has been...
Jesus,
who doesn't resemble Jesus, who's been missing for 40 days, or was missing for 40 days. He dropped off the radar and no one knew where he was, and there was speculation about it.
That is right. Well done. Yes. North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un's extended disappearance from public view caused much speculation. He was notably slimmer when he re-emerged after 40 days and 40 nights, which of course is how long the Bible says Jesus disappeared into the desert for.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy, actually, because if you think about it, Kim Jong-un and Jesus both got their jobs because of their dad. Jesus is admittedly much better at feeding his people than Kim Jong-un. Oh, what, there are some Kim Jong-un fans in the house.
Go easy on him, OK?
George, have you actually been to North Korea? You reported from North Korea?
For my sins, yes.
And what was it like?
It was it's probably the most bizarre and seriously poverty-stricken country I've been that claims to be other than that. I find it very hard to believe that they have nuclear weapons because every door handle I tried to open fell off in my hand. I went there for a function. It was a sports event, and the only person I could see there that was vaguely a sportsman was Muhammad Ali, who was the star turn. Don't ask me why. I have no idea why he was there.
Funny, because Muhammad Ali's on a chat show right now going, you wouldn't believe it, George Negus was there. When you interview a dictator, do you go softer on them?
You just be very, very, very careful if you want to get out of the place. And
Who did you interview?
Gaddafi.
Gaddafi.
Mugabe, all the great madmen of our time I've interviewed at various points in time.
So presumably you're not going to ask him really tough questions.
The great leader wanted the interview to happen. The room was full of television crews from Libya and other Islamic countries, and blokes standing around with their hand inside their coat. So I guess the answer to your original question is you be very, very careful, because you don't know what's going to come out of their pocket when they pull it out. You know.
How would you compare interviewing someone like Gaddafi to interviewing, say, Kevin Rudd?
It was different with Rudd because you actually did want to end up being shot at the end of it. OK, thank you, Tom. Well done. You got 1 point. Congratulations. Let's move on to our next game, and to introduce it, we have a special guest. It's 1975, George Negus.
But for the moment, let's go back in time. But not too far, just back to yesterday.
Yesterday's news.
We all look like that then.
Some changed.
In yesterday's news, all our questions are about news stories on this day in history. OK, Team Australia, it's your turn now. What year do you want?
1138.
That's right, 1992. OK, here's some footage from the ABC News in 1992. What's happening here?
But after just a few seconds, it became apparent that not all was going to plan.
Is the answer that after a couple of seconds, not all was going to plan?
It looks like a sort of dodgy CSIRO.
It looks like
wrong.
It looks like Dubbo's space program.
That's quite close. Let's see what it was.
Ozrock 2 was billed as the largest liquid fuel-propelled rocket ever designed, built and fired in Australia. The second Australian-built rocket launched here in more than 20 years.
I'm pretty sure any rocket that's launched by a man in knee socks is not going to make it off the ground.
But also, I like all the experiments that would have led up to that moment. It would have been, oh, look, here's a bunger. Then we go, oh, let's set fire to some petrol. Well, look at that.
It's a pretty sad moment when your socks have got more lift than your rocket.
25 years after the Americans landed on the moon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Australia's got that. They got a sort of bad cracker night.
But also, looking from the footage, a rocket that couldn't have fit anything of any significance in it, like a person, a satellite, anything. They just wanted to shoot something into space.
Dental floss. We wanted dental floss on the moon.
Well, that's it for yesterday's news, and this round goes to Team Idiot again. Well done.
Bill Shorten's Life Hacks. If you want to insult someone, do it the Bill Shorten way, with a cultural reference from the 1920s.
The most out-of-touch Prime Minister since the top hat-wearing Stanley Bruce.
That's right, the other guy's the one who's out of touch. Try it yourself, it works a treat.
You have the most unkempt spats since Fatty Arbuckle.
Now your opposition leading.
A central tenet of responsible journalism is puns, particularly in stories about animals.
Hoping for a place in the Surf Dog Walk of Fame, to which you might say, poor a bunga. Or not.
Or in stories about medieval fairs.
Why are they here? They just want to have fun.
We just want to have fun as well, which brings us to our final round.
Pandemonium!
We've gathered together the very lamest puns about animals that TV journalism has to offer. I'll describe the stories they came from, and your job is to buzz in and guess what the tortured pun the reporter used was. OK, hands on buzzers. The first news story is about a horse walking into a police station. What was the pun?
Clop shop.
He was saddled with a guilty conscience.
Oh, that's not the answer.
Did he have a complaint about a neighbour?
Is there a main suspect?
Oh, that's very close.
It seems police may have found their main offender.
Well done.
Very nice.
Very good.
Bad puns. Next, a bee attacks a weather presenter. What's the pun?
It was an arresting weather report.
Oh. A bee attacked a weather presenter. You're thinking of the old story.
Arresting.
Oh, sting.
Let's see the answer.
She was right, and we'll be cursing the little insect for misbehaving.
Still to come, we've got Victor Russo. That was terrible.
Well done here, Remington. Speaks the truth. OK, next story, a fashion show for cats. What was the pun?
Haute couture.
It's very good, but no.
Anything about a catwalk?
Yeah.
No. What? Yeah, I know, that's true. You would have thought I'd think of that.
Visiting New York Fashion Week.
Fee lines of cocaine done in the dressing room.
There are actually two puns, and I would have accepted either of them.
Now we're going to move on to a spectacular
spectacular event in New York. Some real glamour pusses have strutted their stuff.
Can't believe you didn't get spectacular. I mean, that's so easy. Yeah. All right, final story. Cows escaped from a farm and are on the loose in Launceston.
Locals were not amused.
No.
They dared to dream.
No.
What about oopsie daisy?
Utter chaos.
Utter chaos is one of the answers. Well done. Keep going.
That put them in a good mood. The cows, not the farmer, who's in a bad mood. It's a subtitle.
There is a mood pun. It's not that one, but yes, mood is right. Well done.
Hoofing it, running hell for leather. It's 2 puns. I got 2. Are they both wrong?
Yeah, they're both wrong, yeah. And I don't think you've actually got near all of the puns that Channel 7 News had. So let's see all of their puns.
Causing utter chaos in Launceston and creating a major beef between locals. It has residents stewing.
Locals here in the Launceston suburb of Ravenswood are cheesed off and the community's mood is souring.
At the end of that round, Team Idiot wins again.
Oh, wow.
Which means at the end of this show, our winner is clearly Team Australia, because we can't let anyone else. Team Australia! We have a special prize for you guys. George, we are a circus, so the good news is you win a clown. The bad news is it's Mark Holden from Dancing with the Stars.
And I'm at your house right now, Georgie.
Oh, my God. We'll see you back in the Media Circus next week. Good night. Thank you. Is there somewhere George can stay?